It's about $300. That's probably a lot of it.
That way I might be going to jail 20 years.
All right, I've got 5 o'clock. I call the meeting today, Monday, March 9th, 2020. Roll call, Selectman Howdy Goodwin, Mike Manslilly, Mackenzie Jewett, Kevin Buck, myself, Jamie Thurlow, Town Manager Chris Saunders, and Town Clerk Katie Dandurand. Adoption of the agenda. Does anybody have anything they'd like to change? Okay, approval of minutes. We have the minutes from Tuesday, February 18th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of February 18th, 2020.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from February 18th, 2020. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, warrants. We have warrant 87 for $10,085.41. Warrant 88, $10,710.01. 89 for $19,718.76. Warrant 90 for $45,010.49. Warrant 91 for $9,338.60. And 92 for $87,042.03.
Make a motion to approve warrants 87 through 92.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve warrants 87 through 92. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right. Next thing is committee appointments. We have one seat that is open on the planning board, and Chris, I believe you advertised it. And we have, how many applicants total? 6.
I think one of them's an architect, right? I believe Lawson's an architect.
That's what, yeah. I'll make a motion to appoint Lawson Wolfson, is that how you say it? To the seat on the planning board, term expiring June 30th, 2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to appoint Lawson Wilson to the seat, Wolfson, to the seat on the planning board expiring June 30th, 2024. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
I want to say his name backwards.
What's that?
I want to say his name backwards.
All right, regular business. First thing is the FY21 budget. I'll give you a second, Chris. but- Yeah, I know.
Thought I did a nice job with that, Chris.
Okay, so in your packet, you have budget binders. I had a manager's message in there for you. It sort of went through the overall effects of the changes to the FY21 budget, the effects of the school on the budget, the effects of the high school assessment on the budget, the effects of the county assessment on the budget, et cetera, et cetera. The bottom line is at this point, we're looking at a tax. This graph has a tax change of 6.2% for the mill rate. So that includes a 1.6% change for the municipal budget, which is exactly the same as the cost of living adjustment for those receiving Social Security, which was intentional. It's also 8.1% for the 2-month consolidated school, an 8.1% increase The high school is looking at a 1.7% increase, but just before the meeting, I did get a notice from the school that their assessment did drop by about $14,000, so that'll be a little bit lower. And then the county budget's up 9%. So the combined effect of all of these things is a 6.2% increase. Now, in your packet for tonight, not in the binder, but in the packet itself, you have a document that goes through changes to the FY 21 budget at $5,000 or more, both on the revenue side and on the expense side. And the final column for all of these, I say whether or not I believe it is optional. So there really isn't too much to talk about on the revenue side. And then on the expense side, I've broken it down as things that are currently in the budget and things that have been talked about and I want to be in your mind, but are not currently in the budget. Do we want to start digging into the details now? I want to pause and give you a chance to ask me any questions about the big picture.
So the overall percentage now with the school is gonna be lower than what you thought, but,
The 6.2% will go down.
so roughly 6.
Yeah, I can tell you. Give me a minute.
Yeah.
Right now, I can tell you what it is. 5, 6, 7.
Well,
So
you-
it's about a 5.8%.
Did you figure what the change in the school was, somewhere in that math?
Yeah, I'm sorry. The change in the Tremont school
Yeah.
is 8.1% increase.
That's what you had before.
Yes, the high school is the one that's gone down.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
And the overall effect of the high school's drop is bringing it down to the combined tax rate down to about a 5.8% increase.
So what are we not including that we were road, obviously?
Yeah, so the big thing that's not included in this budget is enough money for a full road reconstruction, which I have estimated to be about $300,000.
Mhm.
At previous meetings over the last couple of years, we've talked about redoing Dodge Point Road or Dix Point Road or Hodgson Road. And I would very much love to implement a full road reconstruction on one of those 3 roads. Or another road that you identify, I'm neutral. But it's been something that I've heard prioritized for a long time, and so I'd really like to do that. However, I didn't feel comfortable giving you a proposed budget that had a expense increase over and above inflation.
Mhm.
That if you want to request that, I am game to follow that, but.
What I was gonna say, I was gonna ask him, how much do we have to set aside? How much is set aside now for a road reconstruction?
About $76,000.
76,
So
okay.
you add that to the 90,000 that's currently sitting in the road improvement reserve, you got about 160,000.
Yeah.
So to close the gap, we need about 140,000.
I know.
I mean, that could be 300,000 or 400,000, depending on
Yeah.
what road we pick, what road we take on and
Yeah,
where
my
we start,
300,000 estimate is exactly that, an estimate.
an estimate.
But I think it goes off from what we had on the Dow.
Yeah,
point.
no, it combines the cost of the Dow Road and Crockett project. That's one factor that led to that number, and then town engineer Greg Johnston had prepared an estimate for a full reconstruction of Dodge Point Road 3+ years ago,
Mhm.
and it was in the mid-200s range, and so I just assumed the costs have gone up because they have.
So we're not doing any of the roads.
Well,
Well,
no,
that's just trying to decide.
Yeah, the number that you're seeing is 166 is what we have in the bank, say, for.
To repair.
For a new road, and we are estimating that we would need 300.
Okay.
So basically, where would you pull the other 140 or close to it out? Fogger, did you have something?
Yeah, what is the big reconstruction of Dodge Point? I
What
mean,
is-
you've only got hot top in there, 200 yards maybe.
Yeah, no, we were talking, there was a list of roads that were up. It wasn't necessarily just a Dodge Point road. There was a list of, we had, what, half a dozen roads that were the worst shaped roads, and we hadn't decided which one. It was just to save up to get roughly 300,000 to do one of them complete.
Part of the discussion we had before, there's one really bad section on there, which has been addressed. It's not as bad as it was. What's that? On Dodge Point, kind of down there where the mobile homes are, that stretch. After the pavement.
It's all dirt.
Yeah, I know. It was really pretty bad. It's been repaired, at least, a temporary fix on it this fall, I believe. I think that was the time, maybe late summer.
We looked at, oh, sorry. yeah, go
No,
ahead.
that's okay.
I was gonna say, we looked at Dix Point, and I know that was another one that was in hard shape. Hudson Road was another one.
See, if I was gonna do one, I'd be doing a hoisted road.
Yeah, there's a whole list. So this isn't just for one road. This is just to put a fund together to try to do a road.
I think the original estimate on Dodge Point was to pave the whole thing too, wasn't it? And after the discussion, I haven't driven it. I don't drive that road that often, but
Sorry, let me just correct myself. Shone Lane, ending at Shone Lane.
I think it's shown. Okay.
And-
But that gravel stretch of the road, with that one exception of a couple hundred yards or whatever it was, that was so bad. The gravel road is in really good shape there. I mean, you've been plowing this winter, right?
No,
Oh, you haven't? Okay. I didn't know.
no one called me in.
Okay, different story, sorry. I figured you'd been on it.
Been
But
my fault.
last time I drove it early winter, fall, it was still in pretty good shape. So, I mean, I know the discussion we had was whether to, since it's in that good a condition, is it really worth paving that part?
I think, I know we discussed it before, but I don't think we should be increasing the amount of hot top we have to maintain, because then we're gonna get into a full-on road construction for twice what's already just what needs to be paved there. You add 2 or 3 times that to pave it, and you got a lot of money, and it costs us a couple $1,000s a year just to grade it up, put a little bit of inch minus down, or a little bit of recycle hot top down, like we've always done.
I thought the price that they gave was just to do hot top, what was there? Didn't God give a price or something to do it, 240,000? It was only to,
We have not gotten a quote from God for 240,000.
No, okay. I just remember doing if I get it wrong, correct me, but Dow Point.
Mhm.
I think we went off Dow Point's number of the length of the road plus what it cost and the ditching and and that's obviously a complete reconstruction.
I thought 2 years ago, they put them out and then it got too late and whoever gave the price couldn't do it. It was too late in the year.
Yeah.
That was a much smaller project, but yes, Scott did do a project that was in the I believe it was in the $60,000 range on Dodge Point.
Yeah, and there was that one bad section.
Mhm. So how does everybody feel about whether we should we try to get an additional 140 to actually do a road that we've been saying we're gonna for the last 4 or 5 years? Or should we wait and try to do it again next year, I guess is the first topic. And then,
I think we gotta address it.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as we hate to bite the bullet, we put it off for 4 years. We don't have much of a choice now.
That Hudson Road, either you got the hot top or you got to turn it back to dirt.
And what's preventing us?
That Hudson Road.
Oh, yeah, Hudson.
Because I know I plowed it once this winter and it just tore the hot top right out.
What's preventing us from just grinding it up and repaving it outside of completely reconstruction the whole road? I mean, it only serves, how many houses are up there?
Oh, I don't know, but I mean, the road, the base of the road is pretty good shape.
Yeah, why do we have to, I mean, once we get somebody in there and they start poking around, we could be spending $400,000 to dig everything out and start over.
one,
Howdy.
just hot talking.
Howdy and I drove it there a long time ago when we talked about this, probably a year ago now, wasn't it, Howdy? And we went to some of the worst roads just to look at the culverts and what was bad and what looked in worse shape. And the Hodgson Road needs some ditching because where it comes up, it mounds up
That
so
hill
much
right
on
there,
each
yeah.
side, yeah, that all your ice is running in the middle of the road, you can't help it, so,
It probably ought to ride it now.
yeah.
Where it's starting to loosen up and everything, it's.
So I think no matter what, you'll run into some, stuff, but obviously we would just have to do what we budgeted for, and whatever that gets you, would be that.
Right.
That's,
What was the change in the high school budget? First, what was the number?
14,000.
Okay, so that's not much.
And typically, I mean, that's the way I always think about it is the municipal budget is just separate. So even if the high school budget dropped even more, or the elementary school budget dropped, that's not money for the municipal budget.
No, I understand. I'm just thinking, keeping the increase, the tax increase matched with inflation.
Yeah.
You could move some of those numbers around. I know it's not the same budget file.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking the same end result. Where I was going with that.
what I had looked at before is we've got 35,000, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, coming out of the general fund for LED streetlights.
Right.
How much did we set aside this year, proposed budget for solar array?
45,000.
45. Yeah, so if we took, this is just an idea, but if we took the 35 out of basically the solar money, which is a similar interest, then we could use the 35. It would give us 35 more.
So instead, you would put $10,000 into the solar array reserve.
Yep.
To save up to purchase that in a few years.
And then
And then
35,
take 35 from that and put it towards.
put the LED streetlights, and you'd still have the streetlights, and then take the 35,000 that we were gonna take out of the general fund and put that into roads.
You could do that.
That's just an idea. I just was trying to think where to get some of it. If you took that out of the general.
And would you say then that the money coming out of the unassigned fund balance is not for the streetlights, it's for the road?
It's for the road.
Right.
I would
So
say it's for the road, and then just because I feel like the LED lights and the solar kind of tie together as far as energy efficiency, and, it would be a common use.
But we use all the money on one road, and we're not gonna have any for any other roads to repair.
And you'll have the operating budget.
Yeah, we still have money in how much is in that?
And you've budgeted,
I can't imagine how much it would be, 300,000. That'd be enough how to do like ditching and stuff, like we usually do.
the normal annual
Yeah.
costs. The summer roads budget has about $20,000 sitting.
Yeah. Where else could we dig from? I'm trying to think.
Well, that's why I put the changes in the budget.
Yeah.
And you
I don't think that 45 for the solar is in the budget right now you presented it.
can-
Oh, I thought you'd remove it.
It is in there.
Oh, okay.
And where is the,
I think that'd be a good way to do that.
all right, what about well, potentially Pacific Hall, we've got to talk about that at some point.
Yeah.
That's in there right now is 12,500 roughly. And what did we do in addition to the fire department? I can't remember what we,
Yeah, so there were two changes to the fire department's budget. It was $20,000 for putting the dispatch in there.
Mhm.
And so you can see on the line immediately below it,
Yep.
dispatch is at 0. And then $29,600 for some personnel changes that they're doing.
did we set any aside for any more than that?
Oh, for the, you also set aside $25,000 to put into a public safety reserve. So renaming the law enforcement reserve, the public safety reserve. and then putting an additional $25,000 in there to save up for
Yeah.
example,
Yep.
a new fire
Yep.
station.
Pacific Hall, when are we gonna make up our minds about that?
That's on,
You would do
that's
that.
on this meeting.
Like now?
Yeah. We can,
I mean, because
Item
there's,
yeah.
right,
So
but there's,
if we just thought there might be a chance of using the Pacific Hall money, then that would be 12,587 more. I'm just adding,
You know, I don't love this idea, but our public works labor position, I am in the budget as strictly a summer position only, and hiring someone to essentially mow cemeteries all summer.
mhm.
But you could use our current public works staff to do that, and it means that they're less available for other road projects. But
I'm just looking at. I'm hearing you, Chris, I'm just adding.
yeah,
So if we did the swap out with the LED street lighting,
mhm.
did the 35 from the general fund for that in return, if the Pacific Hall, just saying, yeah, then that would only leave us with 86,413 that we have to come up with.
My math put me a little higher than that, but not much higher.
I think
It was the 12,000 plus 35,000, so that's 47,000.
Yep.
We needed 140,000.
I did 12, I did it right to the penny, 5 equals 213,587. Yep. 213,587 and 300's a budget.
So that's 87,000.
Yeah, it's 86,413.
Okay.
So if we went and increased our taxes by 86,413, I know I'm putting you on the spot,
Yep.
but can you do the math on what that would be in dollars and cents?
In a moment. So forget what I told you about the high school, because now you're adding too many factors in there. Now, sorry. 87,000.
86,413. It's every penny counts.
I'm doing 86,000.
Okay.
And I'll do minus 14,000 for the high school.
I think I'd take that 25,000 out of the transfer to the public safety reserve too, at this point.
We'll look at what we're.
Yeah.
That's an idea.
Yeah.
You could just cut it by 15 or 10 and just,
Yeah.
that would be another. I just want to see what this percentage is and then,
So that would lead to a mill rate of $11.15.
and what was it?
what was it gonna be?
It was gonna be $11.01 currently, right now.
That's,
So on a median house of 250,000, what would that be?
11.15, 250 is $2,787, and it was $2,753, so it's about a $24 increase.
Wow, yeah, that's
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, so one catch is LD1. So this is a state statute that was passed a number of years ago that limits how much property taxes can go up from one year to the next.
Mhm.
And there's a cap essentially. And right now we're $57,000 under the cap. But if we raise our taxes more than $57,000, raise our expenses more than $57,000, then you're exceeding that cap,
Mhm.
which is okay as long as the voters at town meeting allow you to exceed your LD1 cap. As far as I know, that warrant article is always passed. But there's always the possibility that it won't pass.
What if we took another, like Kevin had just mentioned, if we put your math to work here again, if we take my 86,413
minus 25.
and, well, even if you just took 15, if you took 15 off from that out of the, what was gonna be the safety reserve and just leave 10 in the safety reserve. Let me write this down so I get it right. Yeah. How did you do
My head.
that? 71,413. What would that be, Chris?
We added 71,413, so you'd still be exceeding that cap.
Yep.
It's gonna be, I don't know, $11.09, $11.10.
Which would be half again, is, she'd be somewhere in the middle, it'd be $10, $12 more than what was proposed, you know, for a median house of
Yeah.
$250,000.
Correct.
Everybody think?
I think we just gotta be really cautious with how we proceed with the road repair and how far we go with each road. Because we got another 2 or 3 years of this. And we just wanna make sure that we're not spending it all on one road.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, I think we need to do, I think any of them that you listed that were in real bad shape are gonna need substantial work. Maybe not a complete reconstruction, but it's gonna be, they're gonna have to do culverts and ditching and paving and, you know, so it's not
Oh,
just gonna be.
But outside of that, I don't think we should be taking the whole road out and rebasing it in. I mean, for example, they did that to the Seal Cove Road a few years ago. That's a big project. You're gonna take out 3 or 4 feet of gravel and start fresh.
Yeah.
And I just think, you know, those roads have been there for a long time. They've served their purpose. And if we can grind up what's there, pack it down, if we have to put some more material in, so be it. But once you get in to start taking out material and putting it back and hauling it in, it turns into a big job. I mean, Howdy can tell you,
Yeah.
that's how it turns into a $400,000 or $500,000 job.
What did they do, Howdy, on the Dow Point?
That was a major,
They ripped it down.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I mean, they-
Took
I
out the
don't
base.
think, I don't think we need to go through all that.
They come in with a soil guy and they do a compaction test, and they're gonna fail just about every road in town, regardless. It doesn't matter. I mean, they'd fail my driveway, but that's just how it works.
So you'd put like, I know this doesn't matter, but put like 3-inch stone over what you got, you know, just a skim coat and then build off from that, basically. How it-
Reclaimed.
Well, you grind up what you got there and dig out, you know, make sure you got a good base, then go. I
Yeah.
mean, if you go into a reconstruction of the whole road, you're gonna be talking big.
Yeah.
And I just don't.
There's not enough traffic up there to justify spending $400,000 on a road like that.
No, if we can get out of it for 250, it's great. I just want to make sure we set enough aside so that we don't get caught with having to
I
be
think we-
260 and have 250 there.
I think we put the whole amount there and we keep it tight. And then if we've got
If it
money
gets
left
out
over,
to
we work on another one.
300,000, then it's what it's gonna cost, you know, that's what they're gonna.
But limit the scope, I think. Just make sure we're limiting the scope so it's not out of control.
If we can get out of it for 250, then it just rolls over into next year's road fund.
I mean, do we have to have a big site design and everything to do this, or can we just grind it up and pave it? If we've got a scope,
I would recommend meeting with the engineer and explaining to the engineer what you want.
Mhm.
And then he'll design to that. And if you want a narrower scope, then make that clear to the engineer.
I think that's fair.
That's a good idea.
I think we need to make sure whatever we do, we put down something that's not gonna be repaired in 5 years.
Mm.
So whether it needs to be rebuilt in sections or whatever it takes, as long as it's done right on a road that's gonna hold up. And again, if we have to limit the scope of it, I think that's better than not making sure you get a good base on the road or whatever. If you have to do half a road and get it right, I think that's fine.
And I think, I would like to see a whole road get done, but if, I think Greg is, if we, if he understands how we're looking at it, then obviously you need ditching no matter what, because you just need that, period. And then do as little as we can, I guess, for the rest of it.
Put a good base of hot top down and
So, yeah, that's it. So the proposed numbers would be, if we swapped around the LED street lighting, reduce the solar. Solar would be reduced down to $10,000. LED street lighting would still be 35. And then your general fund would still lose 35, but that would be allocated to the roads. And you would, this is all proposed, but you'd cut 15 from the safety reserve, so you'd be left with 10 in the safety reserve for the year. And this is also figuring in nothing budgeted for Pacific Hall. And it's what would the, oh, well, you can tell us later. I was gonna say, what would the percentage be, but it's halfway in between the two, so it's a very minuscule amount.
10 or 15 dollars.
So,
$10 or $15, something in that range.
yeah. You guys wanna wait until next meeting to make the decision, or give it some time? Some
Yeah,
thought, or-
give it a little time to think about it.
it's a lot to digest right now.
Okay.
One shot.
Could you make a motion for draft changes, so it's clear? And just, if you look at the memo that I wrote, I have the language.
Okay.
So for example, on the reducing the solar array reserve, you would request the town manager to subtract $35,000. I'm sorry, what was that the amount of money?
Yeah,
$35,000 from the solar array reserve in the FY21 budget. And then work your way down the list of changes.
Okay.
Can I make one request, Jamie? Just that we invite the town's engineer to our next meeting and have that road discussion before we make a determination on this.
Yep.
Because I feel it's a lot of money, and I would just rather have his input and that open discussion before we start shuffling money around and make that decision.
I think the only trouble, I agree with you, Mike, the only thing I see that's gonna be an issue is he's gonna say what road?
Yeah, we don't
And
know.
then you
the
gotta
road.
pick the road, and
Well, I
then,
think we direct Chris to say, let's work on, let's pick one of them, say Hodgson Road.
Yeah.
I mean, we could make that decision tonight. We know that's the worst one.
I know it's, cause you'd have to decide that, and then it's gonna take Greg a while to get his stuff back. It's the only thing that I think I mean, he might be able to give us a ballpark, but don't you think it would?
Maybe I'll take a ride down there and
It's
just
also a
say,
1 week's notice, I don't know if he's free next Monday night.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
I'm not super comfortable picking a road today, though.
No, I'd
No, I'm not.
rather put in too much money and have it come back. And the
You'd be
worst you're gonna-
surprised.
Yeah, the worst you're gonna do is to have it come back and go back into the
what we
bed.
just spend it.
Then I would come short.
I mean, I'm not crazy about paying the engineer when we're still wishy-washy about what road.
Yeah.
Because that's more money where, I mean,
Absolutely.
shoot, I still, I'm not good with dirt. so.
Maybe we ought to make a field trip. Check them all out again before the next meeting.
No, we spent some time doing that last year, and it was, some of them were, there was a few that were bad.
We can't just put the money, we just can't work out the money part now and then decide on the road. later.
So what Chris is saying is if we wanted to propose this, then we would have to have him make these changes in a proposal. So next meeting, we
Right.
would get this in as we just listed as a proposal to make room for a road. And then would there be no actual decision made tonight? And if you want to undo it, or if we want to add more or take less, then we can. But this would just give him permission to go ahead with that.
It lays some pavement.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
We can also just make it very clear exactly what you want. We talked about a lot of things in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
Losing
I've
track
got it
of all the
written down
paperwork,
if
yeah.
If you
I'll
wanted
start
to.
out. Let me,
So the
okay.
solar would be taking the 35 out of that, so it would leave it with 10 on the balance.
Okay.
One of the
I make a
first-
motion to request the town manager to subtract $35,000 from the proposed solar array purchase fund, I guess is what it's called. In the draft of the fiscal year 21 budget.
Can you do them all together? Or do you need a
I think
separate
one
one?
of them.
Okay, second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to request the town manager to subtract $35,000 from the solar, what is it? Solar
Array reserve.
array reserve in the draft of the FY 21 budget. Any discussion? All those in favor? Next one, I was gonna say if we did the,
Let's leave Pacific Hall off until we discuss it.
Yep.
I mean, that's. Okay, the other one was the public safety reserve, is that what we're calling it? I make a motion to request the town manager to remove, or subtract $15,000 from the public safety reserve in the draft fiscal year 21 budget.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to request the town manager to subtract $15,000 from the public safety reserve in the draft for the FY 21 budget. Any discussion? All those in favor? And then
And,
we'd have to do the general fund.
yeah,
How would
so.
we do that, Chris?
So I think you could make a motion to request that the LED expenses come from general taxes on the road and $35,000 for, right, 35 for the, yeah, $35,000 for the road improvement program from the unassigned fund balance.
Does it really matter? I mean,
These are just numbers on paper.
yeah, that's what I mean. So we don't really need to make that change. I mean, we could
It's up
just,
to you, it's just a PR.
yeah, yeah, I mean, however, I mean, if you prefer to do it, then we'll make a motion. Okay. See if I can get this one sorted out right. Make a motion to change the $35,000 that was designated towards LEDs from the reserve fund to be put towards road reserve
Sure.
for the fiscal year 21 budget.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to take the $35,000 that was set aside for the LED lights to be taken out of the general reserve to now be put into the road reserve, call it,
Yes.
in the draft FY 21 budget. Any discussion? All those in favor? Then do we have to do the LED lights?
Yeah, just
Out
add
of
it to
the-
taxation.
No, I thought you just did that. Oh.
No.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
The LED lights now would come out of regular tax, yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. I make a motion to request the town manager to fund the $35,000 LED streetlight project from general taxation in the draft fiscal year 21 budget.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to request the town manager to add $35,000 for LED street lighting to be taken from general taxation in the draft FY 21 budget. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I think that covered it, didn't it? Except for Pacific Hall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all except for.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else anybody has before we move on from the budget stuff?
Yes, and so
Okay.
we've got some representatives of the Historical Society here. And I think that I put a letter in the packet. They had a requested change to their budget appropriation. They would like to
Yes.
increase their appropriation by $1,000.
Would you like to speak?
You notice that I have board members with me tonight, and I didn't when I came before, but I said so generously that we would give up $1,000 from the original request. I got a shellacking, and now they're watching everything I do. Truly, when this was reconsidered by board members, on intermeeting, in that intermeeting length of time, you see the letter? There are 7 reasons why we are doing wonderful work. And there are 7 reasons why we need another $1,000. Seriously, in the financial side of that, the second part of that, there are a number of projects that we had not yet put a price on or given serious consideration for, because we don't think as far ahead as you guys. But they all have a price tag. And so we really would like to request that a reinstatement of the original request, which was $3,500. As compared to the adjusted one, which was my fault, at 25. And if you want to ask any questions about what's on that paper that you all have, and which you memorized, these 3 ladies and I will answer.
Okay, thank you.
You had us all excited there for a little while.
Yeah.
I think at just under $300 a month, that's a pretty good deal for us.
Yeah.
I think we ought to do it.
With that.
I don't see any issues.
I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the budget increase by $1,000 to the Tremont Historical Society.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to, I just say, request the town manager to add $1,000 to the, what is it? Tremont Historical Society Fund in the draft FY 21 budget. Any discussion? All those in favor?
And just before you move on, I'm really not expecting anything this year, but I just want to voice the expenditures that are not currently in the budget, because I want them to be done at some point. So paving in front of the salt and sand shed, and then also from the edge of the pavement here down to Tremont Road.
Mhm.
I have a very rough number of $40,000 to do that paving, especially in front of the shed. You're getting that salt is definitely infiltrating the soil, and it's going to cause water issues. And it's just something that I think should get done at some point. DEP definitely wants us to get it done. Another thing that has come up in previous discussions is installing a digital message board right out here on the front, in front of the town office. We currently have an older one. The numbers and letters are very difficult to replace, and it sometimes looks a little bit old and dilapidated, and it's been suggested maybe we could get an upgrade. And then the last thing is the tent that's right next to the Public Works garage is obviously quite tattered and worn and needs to get replaced at some point, and I have $7,000 in the budget for that. All right, I'm sorry, I don't have $7,000 in the budget for that, but I've estimated that the cost would be $7,000. So
What's that protecting right now?
things that don't otherwise have a home inside the garage, nothing that can't be exposed to the elements.
Okay.
The lawnmower goes in there, the top pick used to be backed into there.
I think you'll find it's probably a lot less than $7,000 too. Just
Yeah,
the-
that estimate was
the size.
provided, I guess Keith and Keith Higgins actually were involved in the construction of it originally, and so I just asked them
Oh.
to replace the tent, just the tent, not the structure. How much would that be? And they were guessing with materials and labor. That was where that number came from.
Logitech or whatever company they
Shelter
does it,
Logic.
Yeah, Shelter Logic, that's what it is. Those are, I've seen similar sizes
Yeah.
for
Okay.
3,000, 3,500. So I think,
If you wanted to put it in the budget,
Some shrink wrap.
yeah, I know.
Also, we could probably dump that paving for both areas into our road construction bid very easily. I mean, they're already gonna be,
you're already buying all that asphalt.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But you would then want to budget according to our.
Yeah.
Hard, where does money come from?
Yeah, I know. Then you're adding 40,000 onto our road budget. We're barely
Which
squeezing.
we can't
Well,
find
might-
already.
We might not have to use all of
Yeah,
what we're
no, we-
budgeting though on one road, so.
But I don't wanna, that $40,000 is not a hard number. I'm just very rough estimate.
We could put that as an option in their bid. Doesn't have to be something that's concrete that we have to accept necessarily. Just be like, if this option is here, how much is it?
But then how much would we allow in it into our 300? We'd
Well,
have
that's,
to make.
that's the biggest priority, I guess, is what I'm saying. And if, let's say it came in at 260,
Yeah.
and there's an extra 40,000 left over, at least we've got an optional price from each bidder that says to do this additional paving is gonna be this much extra. We don't have to buy into it, but it's there.
Yeah.
And if the price is right, we take it.
So then you wouldn't add it on to the budget then, right, Chris? If you were gonna do it like Mike says, it basically you would do
Well,
the
it's a
road
little-
construction and then hope for it
Yeah,
to
so
come
it's
in
a little
low.
tricky from a budgeting, from a paper standpoint, because your road improvement program is a reserve fund that was created by town meeting last year for road improvements. These are not road improvements, and so you can't spend money in that reserve that's not for road improvements. That money has been set aside by town meeting for road improvements. And so
These are not road improvements?
I wouldn't consider our driveway and our area in front of the salt sand shed roads.
I would.
No, I
That's
have to
I would.
disagree with you.
That's
No,
I would
tricky.
disagree with you on that, Chris.
I
know, it might,
but it's not what your opinion is, the auditors.
yeah, no, I
And-
understand. Fogger, did you have something?
You must have money left from the snowplow budget.
Should have a ton.
How much?
Was that a hot top and for in the garage?
We will have money left over at the end of this year's budget,
Mhm.
and then you will be able to encumber those funds next year. I can't tell you right now what it will be because we're in the middle of the year.
Should be quite a bit of money.
Yep.
I know,
There we go.
it's almost like we have to wait and see how this year rolls out with all of this and then use whatever we can once it comes in and put it towards the paving out here after it's encumbered. The only thing I think that, I saw that cover the other day and it does look,
Be ready.
it's
Pretty bad,
it's
yeah.
pretty bad. I'm sure you could buy just the cover too. You don't even need to replace the frame. You can
Well,
just-
I wasn't planning to replace the frame.
Yeah.
That was just for the cover.
Okay.
But, I mean, $7,000
Get
is not a
something
lot,
shrink wrap.
honestly, like, we can, you would barely notice that in the mill, right?
What did you say, $4,000?
What would it cost to have somebody come in there and shrink wrap it? Would be a lot of money.
It's $12 a foot for a boat, so $12 a foot on your,
40 feet?
it's gonna,
Square foot?
no,
Linear
well, a length foot, but then you're gonna pay 2 times that probably is what I'm figuring to do, because you've gotta do, well, no, it might be about the same.
Yeah, but will it hold up?
Yeah, I doubt it.
Does that stuff dry out after a while?
Yeah. No, I think you'd still have quite a bit invested in it, doing it that way. I have complete faith you can get a cover for $3,000 and the town crew can put that on.
I think you can buy a whole building, them rhino shelters.
Yeah.
You can buy the whole building for that.
Yeah.
I mean, that one's not that long. You can't get a whole vehicle in it, well, there's too much junk in it, so you can't get. Because, I mean, they use it to pack truck 9 in the winter, so they plug it in, so.
Would you be comfortable with us putting 4,000?
Yeah, sure. I'll come back to you and tell you what I can
Okay.
do. Heck, then I don't have to go out to bid for it if it's $4,000.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. And then just have I would just have the crew do it. I think
I
it's,
don't know if we have all the right equipment for them to do that work themselves.
No, I don't think it's that hard.
no.
I'm just looking at the height, I don't know how.
Throw a line over it.
A rope and drag it up over.
Leave the old one on the inside for chasing gear.
Right,
That's what you do.
exactly.
There's nothing left of it.
No, I know. That's not much. I saw the roof. All right, so if anybody would like to add $4,000 for
I make a
10
mo-
canvas.
I make a motion to request the town manager to add $4,000 to replace the cover on the canvas shelter in the draft fiscal year 21 budget.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to request the town manager to add $4,000 for replacing the roof on the canvas shed near the town garage in the draft FY21 budget. Any discussion? All those in favor? Shit. Okay, anything else?
No digital sign.
No sign for you.
No, sign up. I did you sign today, Chris.
That's okay.
They do look nice, I will
They
say.
are
What
nice,
is it?
yes.
Holden or Dedham or whatever you
Yeah,
drive by on the way to Bangor has that thing on there. And
That's the price for a permanent mounted one, roughly.
Yeah, my estimate was from Lemoyne.
Theirs is nice too. And you don't go out in the snow or the bugs or the, yeah. Couldn't have done
You should sit in my office and do it right from
that.
there.
Right?
I'd be more worried about the salt going in the ground, getting that paved than I would your sign, I hate to tell you.
I can see why you say that.
Yeah, okay. Mark,
Maybe you're not considering a digital sign.
No.
Those things are tacky.
Oh,
I think Mark just volunteered to come down and change the sign.
Right?
maybe.
Glad to score.
All right, next thing is 7B, which is the fireworks ordinance. The discussion of regarding possible amendment of the fireworks ordinance. And Chris, you have something you'd like to mention?
Yeah, Chief Higgins was in the office today. He apologized he wasn't able to make it to tonight's meeting, but he did want to share his opinion, which is that he feels that fireworks at this point should be 100% prohibited in Tremont. He mentioned that, the other 3 towns on the island have already prohibited them and Tremont follow line.
And what are the major changes to this versus last year's?
Yep, so the current one that you have in front of you, the current proposed amendment just designates a new, allows the code enforcement officer to designate a member of the office staff to issue permits if the CEO is not here. And the only reason is that there were a few days in a row when the CEO wasn't here, somebody wanted to get one, they couldn't get one, and they were frustrated, and I couldn't blame them.
Mark?
Should this be left to the fire chief to make a decision? I mean, there's 2 issues here, noise, which nobody, but also fire danger. And I would think the fire chief would be the best person to address whether there is a fire danger or not.
And he has schooled people on how to tell whether it's a good day for it or not. But he doesn't make the decision on whether you get out a permit or not. And also he does not enforce it. And that's the only trouble that if he enforced it, then I would agree. It would be so much easier to deal with. But where he doesn't enforce it, it's the police that enforce it.
He doesn't enforce it, but he still has to chase them.
Yes, so it's,
Or He chases them. I don't know if he has to chase
Yeah.
them. He chases them, for lack of a better. So Keith doesn't want any fireworks, like no 4th of July, no permits, no New Year's Eve, no nothing.
I feel very uncomfortable representing someone who's not here. I just,
This ordinance was approved by town meeting vote.
Yeah. Okay.
The only change we're proposing is who can
Who
sign the
can
permit.
sign the permit?
And I understand why, because if they're only in 2 days a week, and then if you stop in and they miss a day or sick.
Yeah,
for
or
a week,
vacation,
then
or, yeah.
you're-
Does this go the same? I mean, this is obviously different, but are we allowed to issue our own burn permits too? Like Southwest Harbor does? Or is that something that we have to, I mean, while we're talking about,
we are allowed to, but our current setup is that Southwest Harbor issues burn permits for Tremont.
And it does work really the slick, I think it does, as far as stopping
It is.
over to the police station, and they're quick and easy, and you're in and out.
They're there 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Larry, did you have something as well? Okay.
I make a motion to certify and sign the draft fireworks amendment order to be placed on the warrant as an open article and recommend adoption.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to certify and sign the draft fireworks amendment, order it to be placed on the warrant as an open article, and to recommend it for adoption. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, next thing is the wharf and facilities ordinance. Discussion regarding possible amendment to the wharf and facilities ordinance. Chris, would you mind summarizing what the major changes would be?
Yeah, well, the impetus behind this is just that this year, it looks like the wharf fund is gonna operate at a deficit of about $10,000. That's an operating deficit, not looking at capital expenditures. And that seems to be the case going forward. That's also what next year's budget has. And the two main drivers of that deficit. The first is that the wharf house no longer is bringing in the same rent. It's not bringing in any rent. And that's a significant amount of money that we're not receiving anymore. And then the trash, how trash is handled down there has changed because of the transition to fiberite. And we're now required to have a construction and demo debris dumpster down there, which obviously then must be emptied. And that's increased costs by about $7,000. So the net change brings it to approximately a $10,000 deficit. And I would recommend changing the work fees so that you are running at a $10,000 surplus every year, so that you can save that money for future wharf capital projects.
And did the harbor committee met on this too?
They
And
did, and they unanimously recommended this change.
okay, thanks.
So what is that change?
So in the ordinance, it just changes it, so it removes the fees from the ordinance and allows the select board to set them similar to how it works in the harbor ordinance right now.
Why? I was on the harbor committee and we hammered this for a week. You know, they want to take it out and have the selectmen set the fee from time to time. Well, what do we mean by time to time? Every other week, every other month? I mean, I was the one that argued it the most, so. And they finally decided, Dana finally decided to leave it in there.
Yeah,
I mean, you only have to go check town meeting to change it. And once a year, I mean, if you want to change it once a year, but I don't have no problem with the increase in the fee, but the taking it out of the ordinance, I do. Because that gives, if you don't have the same board up here, that gives you a chance to change it anytime you want, so.
I think the rationale was just to make it similar across all the ordinances.
Could we also, I hadn't thought of this, could you make it in the language so it could only be changed once a year? If you could do, if it was, so, you know, if the selectmen did set it, but it would still could be only changed once a year so that it couldn't be changed multiple times per year. Is that possible? Or
Yeah.
I just was wondering.
That is possible.
Better than that, why don't you make it like a change every 2 years, no more than 2 years, no greater than 10%.
Could, but like, what are we changing it this time? That was all I'm thinking, to cover the cost.
Well, my understanding is they wanted $5.50 more a foot.
Is that
Is that
Am
the,
I wrong on that?
I'd have to go back and look up what I,
I'm going here from houses.
what I drafted.
So it's $14.50 now, and they wanna go to $20 a foot.
It's $14.50 now.
Yeah.
And there were more changes than that, because I had a copy of it in here. There was, I believe, the
Buyers, they wanna go, it figured out like $6,700 over top of 5,000.
and the punt fees, the skiff fees there, they were, I think those went up and some,
How about the other user fees? Like,
is,
commercial.
Yeah.
Or I'll let Chris
I think
say
the
it.
idea is every user fee should just increase equally.
What was the proposed?
yeah, what did
And
they
it's
say?
about 30 to 33% for each one to get to that $10,000 surplus.
For each thing, straight across the board, every permit?
And I will just say, there's a number of fees, that we have no pay,
Well,
no
more than
one
that,
pays
wouldn't
that fee.
it'd come out more than that, wouldn't it? Just the lobster buyers will come out with another $5,000.
What is the,
So the-
would you mind repeating the
So
numbers there?
Yeah, so the
Okay.
commercial wharf use fee, the one that's by foot, I do have going up to 20, I mean, again, this is just a draft, you guys would set it.
Yep.
But in this, goes up to $20 per foot. So that increases revenues from $34,000 a year to $46,000 a year. So that's $12,000, but you need to make you need to have a $20,000 swing, because right now you're 10,000 in the red,
Mhm.
and you need to go to 10,000 in the black.
Now, what was the buyers, just so I write this down? So
Yep,
what is
so
it now
the
versus?
Commercial services permits
That's the smaller of the two, but
is
yes.
$500.
Yep.
And I have that going up to $660.
Okay.
The marine products permit is $5,000, and I have that going up to $6,700. And these are,
And how many people, I guess, how many do you have?
yep, so I have 67 payers of the commercial work use fee, that's the one that's by the foot, and that's by far the most. The marine products, we have 3 payers of that fee. And the commercial services, the $500 one, we have 11 payers of that fee.
Commercial
Yeah.
services? So who would that, I guess, who would fall into that category?
Boatyard is, for doing mechanic work.
Truck haulers and ones like that.
Yeah.
ones that haul the boats.
Yeah, that's true. Yep, people that haul the boats.
Is everybody paying their wharf permits? Yeah. Because in past years, you've had to
To say-
chase,
To say, I'm sure Justin does chase some people.
sure,
around,
sure, but the majority
Yeah.
are, okay.
I mean, we have other permits, or fees that are in here that no one has ever taken out or is taking out that fee. For example, there's a daily use fee just for using the wharf, basically for any commercial activity that's not covered somewhere else. Nobody pays that. You
Yeah,
can
but
increase that fee.
You gotta collect it off them.
Yeah.
There's the boats that come in like Swans Island, and Jamie does work on a boat,
Mhm.
they're supposed to pay $100 or whatever it is. And it never gets collected, so.
If you're there for more than 2 hours.
So is the harbor committee gonna give us a number?
Yeah, so I think that your first.
I don't wanna just,
Yeah, when you get the harbor ordinance, because you changed those fees about a year and a half ago or so, those ones you're allowed, the select board is allowed to change, and you got a recommendation from the harbor committee
okay.
before you did anything.
okay,
And I would assume you would want to follow a similar process.
right, because I don't like as set by the board of selectmen.
That's
want
exactly
them
what it says in the
Right.
harbor ordinance.
That's what they tried 2 years ago to do that, and I would get against it. Because, I mean, you get the wrong board up there, they can set it every 6 months if they want. Because it doesn't have to go before town meeting.
Dean?
I just think that you ought to leave it the way it is, where you go in, I mean, say it's a couple of years down the road, you need to up the fees, you go through the same ordinance change, where you just amend the rates or whatever, and let the public vote on it. By letting the board vote on it, theoretically, you could have 2 members of the Board of Selectmen dictating the price of what's being charged at the dock. I mean, so you have 3 board members show up at a meeting and 2 can go in favor of whatever. At least if you let the public vote on it, you let them vote on the municipal budget, why not continue to let them vote on that?
But like I said, I don't have a problem with the price going.
Hmm.
It's just having it going up, maybe every 6 months or something, that's the problem.
Yeah, no, I understand your concern, and I think, it has to go up because it has to pay for itself, and I think.
Oh, I understand that.
It's just a matter of, there's no reason for it to go up more than once a year, that's for, in my opinion, I
Well, there's a
should say.
lot of members on the board that said, well, this would be easier, then we wouldn't have to go through this. Town meeting every time, well, I mean, that's what town meeting's for, and that's what a budget is for.
Yeah.
And when they gonna have that public hearing, they gonna have one? Every ordinance change has to have a public hearing.
Depends how you proceed on this.
And also, I just had one thing before I take that, the dinghy punt fee or whatever it's
Yeah, the
called
fund
is,
fee is $100.
okay, that one up from,
Yeah, it's currently $100.
it's $100,
And I
okay,
have
yeah,
it going up to $130.
What's the Sternman package going for?
So it's currently $200 and I have it going up to $270.
Do they have like a tag or something for the window? That would be-
You have to have a sticker.
oh, yeah. Yeah, they just have Justin gives them, it's a yearly pass is what it is for the whole season, parking that upper parking lot, up by the Clausen lot, is what I call it.
I mean, you guys know, just like Chris knows right now, how much needs to go up or whatever. So it's not like it's gonna be a big surprise where all of a sudden we gotta go up $10 a foot or whatever type deal. I mean, you have plenty ample time. Bring it before town meeting type bill or whatever and stuff, because you're not gonna see a major drastic change all around the little type deal for anything, so.
No, I think I don't see there's any reason for it to ever go up more than once a year, because it's just, in this case, like it has to because of the budget and you has to pay for itself and I don't see any issue leaving it alone how it is, and as long as everybody understands why why we have to do the increase, then
Could be worse, they could be taking money out of taxation to put towards it.
yeah, no, I know.
I'm okay leaving it where it is too. I don't think it's a town meeting to change its burden. I think it's good to have it discussed openly.
How you feel either way? Or?
I mean, it's gonna come up every year anyhow, right?
It's gonna come up this time every year, no matter what.
Right.
So it really doesn't matter to me whether it would go in front of the,
I mean,
only
it's been
time-
2 years this time, so.
I mean, we have to do what we have to do to fund it, so.
and it might be 3 years before you have to do it again, or hopefully it is, but
Right.
you never know, it might go down again. I know that probably never happens, but it could.
But we have no reason to change it in 6 months. I mean, it would be a yearly thing at the least, it'd be a year.
A lot of thinking going on out there.
Put a camera on them dumpsters down there, you save a little money.
That's not the truth.
lot of household garbage being hauled off.
Get out there about 7 o'clock in the morning, there's people lining up to dump the trash in the,
It's early in that.
that too.
All right, so what would we have for a motion, Chris, if we, how it's set up now, if we certified and signed the draft wharf and facilities ordinance change amendment, sorry, then would that certify it to be, to go to the selectmen then? It would,
So the draft that I have ready for you to sign says as set by the Board of Selectmen.
okay. So if we want to handle it differently, then we would have to lay out all these fees.
You could pass a motion to have me put some recommended fees directly into the ordinance. And I would be,
Look at it next week. Okay. So those are our two options.
I make a motion to request the town manager to put their proposed changes to the harbor and wharf fees together on the draft ordinance to be examined at the next meeting,
Second.
reviewed at the next meeting.
Then moved and seconded to ask the town manager to put together a list of wharf fees, wharf fee increases, I should say, for our next meeting. Does that sound right?
On the draft ordinance.
On the draft ordinance. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, next thing is committee member thank you. Would you like to summarize that, Chris, a little bit, or it's up to you? It doesn't, okay. We have Linda Graham and Susan Snyder, who retired from the planning board.
Nothing, sorry.
And would like to see if anybody would like to put a thank you out for them, and or any ideas on how to thank them for their many years of service.
I'll make a motion to thank Linda Graham and Susan Snyder for their combined 35 years of service on the planning board and to sign a thank you note for each of them.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to thank Linda Graham and Susan Snyder for their combined 35 years of service on the planning board and to sign a thank you note for each of them.
You're on your own, Dean.
Any discussion?
Can we send flowers or? Wait, is that ever a thing? I mean,
so she asked me to send flowers.
Oh.
I've never,
okay, thank you,
we
note is
haven't done
fine.
that for anyone else. but
Okay.
That doesn't mean we can't start.
Thank you, note is fine, I guess.
All those in favor? Right. Just get caught up with stuff here. All right. Next thing on the agenda is tax acquired properties. We have a couple of properties that are on the list, 3 to be exact.
Correct.
You want to add anything to that, or just there's 3?
There's 3, they've received many notices that this is something that you have to pay your taxes. And at this point, it's up to you, according to your tax acquired property policy, to whether to, well, you could just take no action. Or you could choose to retain it for town purposes, or you could choose to dispose of it, meaning put it out to bid, and we would auction it off. I would just say that for the first one, you can see on your list, this one has come before you many times before. We do not, when we went through this process last year we did put it out to bid, and the only bidder, this determined that it did not have marketable title through their bids. And I suspect that the same thing would happen this time, or no one would bid on it. And so I would sort of push you on that one. Take no action. We will have marketable title in a couple of years, assuming that the taxes are not paid. But we're not there yet. But the other two properties, the second two that are on your list,
Mhm.
I believe are good to go.
And the total taxes owed on the first one is $13,855.87. And the second one is $1,156.31.
As of the date.
Yep.
Okay.
And nobody's made payment arrangements or lived up to their payment arrangements or acknowledged your payment arrangements, whatever.
Yes, yep.
How many years do they have to be delinquent in their taxes for this to happen?
These are FY18 taxes, so commit taxes on a fiscal year budget. So these were actually committed in 2017, so they're almost.
Money owed in 2018,
Correct.
so in a year and a half, the house could be taken.
No, it's longer than that.
So it's a
It's
full,
about 3 years.
Three,
full,
yeah.
yeah, from the oldest tax
Oh.
delinquent.
Should we just hold?
And that's what,
I mean, that's whatever everything was.
I will just say, if at any point, I'll call him the previous owner, because currently the town is the current owner.
Mhm.
Previous owner came in and paid those taxes, it would be fine. We would be done with this whole process. We do a lien discharge, we wash our hands of it. Even if we're in the middle of bidding, we would instantly stop.
and also, if so they haven't called in to make a payment arrangement at all, nothing, not any response.
But there has been, they've
There's been
received the
several, I mean,
certified.
we're talking several attempts, so
Yeah.
this is FY18 that we're at this process, but that means that FY19 is still delinquent, and they've still received notices that those taxes are delinquent, not yet the foreclosure status.
And somebody's
Delinquent.
signing for those? They're not coming back.
Yeah.
So they got a
It's
whole, they got a
unopened.
whole
Okay.
nother charge of money they're gonna have to pay pretty soon anyway.
July's coming again, and another tax year is gonna be upon us.
I mean, that's gonna
Just in
make,
these months, they've been contacted 6 times.
it's gonna make this one 20,000.
And the house isn't currently occupied.
To my knowledge, it's not owner occupied. I don't know if,
Yes.
there's a, I don't know if it's not owner occupied, however, I don't know if it's renter occupied, I don't know.
If the town foreclosed on a property that was worth 200,000 and they owed 10,000 and it sold, would they get the extra 18,000 or 19, whatever? I lost my numbers, but would they get, they don't get.
The prior owners? No.
Really?
State law doesn't allow it.
That's pretty serious.
Larry.
When was, I don't know if it's a relevant question, when was the last time the town took over a property?
It's a good question, I don't have an easy answer for it, I'm sorry.
So I've been here 4 years, and so not in my
I
tenure.
think it's been a long time before that, too.
I think the early 2000s, there were some. Because I've seen them in our records, and that's about the dates.
Yeah.
Associated with them.
I really hesitate not to do anything because I believe the rest of us are paying our taxes.
Right.
And you can only let it go so long, so.
And these people have had every opportunity to come in and say, I'll pay $50 a month or whatever,
Yeah.
to make an honest attempt. And
I think we've been very flexible in the past on payment arrangements, and if you make any attempt at all, then we've been willing to work with someone.
You get a question.
Yeah, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Are there state or nonprofit support available for low-income families with trouble paying taxes? It sounds like you, like, at a municipal level, you've been flexible in the past, but I don't know if those services are available.
There's there are funds to help people with housing, which I assume they probably would have an option to do that with. But,
And in fact,
It's-
yeah, oh, sorry.
and we've got quite a history of working with people that are delinquent on taxes and setting up very flexible payment schedules. We need to at least have a conversation over it.
You are, anyone can apply for what's called a poverty abatement. So due to a financial hardship, they are finding it difficult to pay their taxes, and that's granted by the Board of Selectmen. It's a confidential process, but I believe, and tell me if I'm wrong, that you need to be receiving the homestead exemption on that property in
That's
order to do so, meaning that that is your home. You're not, and these second two properties, that's not the case. So these are not someone's home or home. This is like a second home or a second property. And so it's a little harder to justify poverty.
And the house is all falling down on Shore Road, is that already owned by the town?
No,
But it's gonna be demolished
it's,
someday?
it's gone.
Oh, has it?
It's gone.
Sorry.
A month ago, something like that.
Okay.
Go watch the sunset.
So on these other two, do the people live in this town?
So the documents or the required notices by law that I'm required to send is not a Tremont address.
Okay, that's what I was, so.
I say we sell them. I mean,
When attempting to send them to that Tremont address, the Bernard Post Office indicated that those boxes had been closed, so there was a secondary address and those ones have not been returned, and that's not a Tremont address.
And you send certified mail to them and receive receipts that they've received them. I don't think there's an awful lot more we can do
Right.
for them.
Dean,
I think if you're gonna acquire some properties or whatever, God forsaken you do, whatever. But I mean, I know Keith has talked about a new fire station. I don't know, something like that. But I mean, before you guys start auctioning stuff off, maybe you ought to consider if it might be appropriate for the town to put a new fire station on, that was something you acquire property.
Or for something else too.
Right, I mean, instead of just automatically turning it over, because I think down in this area, we got some property from next door to the water cheaper, we acquired tax acquired property stuff in the past. So, I mean, I don't think you guys ought to jump the gun on automatically turning it over. I know there's nothing really pertaining to possessing the stuff. but
If I'm not mistaken, these properties are on the far end of the Cape Road, the north end of the Cape Road.
Yeah, I had no idea what they are, but for any of the properties, I mean, you guys acquired, because I think first
No.
property we're talking would be Seal Cove, West Tremont, am I correct?
The first one, yeah,
Okay, because that must be a fairly substantial piece of land, correct?
approximately 4 acres, I believe.
Yeah, so I mean, if the town needed a new fire station, then you could get total control of it. It's just something to keep in mind.
It's a good idea, actually.
Yeah, yeah, it's
That
not,
one-
yes, something to think about.
that
Maybe
might
not
solve-
this
Might
one,
solve a
but-
lot of issues with that property.
Yeah.
burn it down too. Burn it down too.
But I believe there are some title issues with that are gonna be, the first one, right?
Yes, I would push you to take no action on that first
Okay.
property.
yeah, I agree with Mike. I think that we need to, I think, especially these two, the location of them, I don't think, of these particular two would have any benefit to the town. I think the best thing to do is to put them up for sale and hope that the homeowner pays the taxes in the meantime.
Did they get another notification if we decide to do that, Katie?
To read it in the paper.
I believe I sent the last one that was required
Okay.
by that
Just
tax
here.
required property policy, am I
Okay.
mistaken, Chris?
I was just gonna look up if after did they get a notification after, like? the-
After a motion, yeah.
I know they changed some of the laws on some of that recently.
Well, that's
Okay.
not applicable.
Okay.
Um, The short answer is, I think the answer is no, they don't receive the notice, but
It's the paper.
but I want to be sure.
I just wonder if it might be the final nudge that decide they can write a check.
Yeah, I mean, is there any reason why we couldn't send it to them or?
Send them what, another letter?
No, we're just saying the duplicate of what's going in the paper, basically.
Or the selectmen decided to put it up for auction or however it's worded.
There is no, by the way, there's no notice required in your
She
policy.
doesn't have to, yeah.
Okay. I didn't think there was, I just thought.
So the last letter that was required to be sent by the tax required policy, one sentence in that letter says, by way of example, as of today, the payment of delinquent taxes only you must make to avoid this sale is, and it gives the amount, so what it was. However, additional interest is added to that amount daily, as well as the cost and taxes stated above. You have 30 days to respond to this notice.
That's
So-
pretty,
That's
Avoid
pretty,
the
yeah.
sale.
it's-
pretty,
She's
I mean, I don't know if
good.
we can go
Yeah.
too much further, really.
I don't,
No.
I agree. I think follow your policy.
Yep.
Don't add stuff to it.
Okay, so the first one we're going to leave alone, but you still want a motion for,
You can either say to take no action, or you can just not make a motion. Either
up to you.
way.
What would you like us?
Don't make a motion.
Okay,
Just leave it
skip.
blank.
And we want to dispose. We don't want to retain the other two, right? We want to
I
dispose.
don't see any reason to.
I just don't think the location for these particular ones would have any asset for the town.
Almost out of town.
I
Yeah,
don't know where they are, so.
yeah. It would be on the back end of Butler's Ledge Road, I believe. That's my correct.
North end of Cape Road.
Not north
North
end
end
of
Cape
Cape
Road, yeah.
North end of Cape Road, sorry. I thought that map was the,
Okay, I'll make a motion to authorize the treasurer to dispose tax acquired property located on map 11, lot 12C. All you need, map 11, lot 12C.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to authorize the treasurer to dispose of a tax acquired property located on tax map 11, lot 12C. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I'll make a motion to, oh, sorry, do we vote? We voted.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to authorize the treasurer to dispose of tax acquired property located on tax map 11, lot 12C. -1.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize the treasurer to dispose of a tax acquired property located at tax map 11, lot 12C-01. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right. Pacific Hall. We're discussing once again the possible action on the Pacific Hall. I guess it has been brought to my attention that in order to use it for a community building, community center, that we would have to have X amount of parking spaces per our ordinance. And it, with everything set up how it is now, we would fall very short of that. And Chris has contacted abutting owners to see if anyone would be willing to sell or offer any parking, and that has come up with zero response, a zero that would like to. So we're back to the table again.
So how far back does the property go behind the building? Not far.
No,
And I know there's a septic out there, so there's no I mean, you couldn't even get one more space out of what's there probably.
I looked at it, and if you parked from the road in, I mean, it's just a guess. I didn't do any measuring, but you could probably fit, what, 10 cars in there if you went right.
In the grass beside.
Yeah, but the guy
That's-
drove in first ain't getting out till the guy.
No, I know, that's what I mean, it would be cramming it, is what I mean, to get 10 cars in there, is I guess what I was
I don't think it's even 10 spaces.
No, I think that was
Yeah,
being very
and-
generous.
If someone wanted to leave, if they were parked in a certain space, they'd have to wait for someone parked behind them to move.
Mhm.
So it's tricky.
Larry,
What is the number of X? You said X, what's the number that you have to get?
20,
20 for the community center, or for
For-
any use?
As an event use.
Wow.
We have folks here from the Historical Society. I think that'd be a great place for them to move to.
We already have a museum without any parking.
Well,
They gained one spot.
At least 5 or 6 spaces. A much better building.
That's true. It's very true.
So if we don't take this and he decides to give it to somebody else, that somebody else is going to have to jump through the same hoops that we're going to have to jump through as far as parking and whatever, right? Or in fire.
Yeah, well, it depends what, so you asked multiple questions.
Sorry.
It depends what their intended use for it is. If it was the Historical Society as a museum, for example, that's different from what the discussion has been around you're using it as like a
Okay.
place for wedding receptions. And so there might be fewer spots there. I haven't had a chance to dig through the ordinance for that, to answer that question. The fire question you bring up. So we contacted the code enforcement officer, contacted the fire marshal's office twice, no response. As I understand it, that's a self-imposed limitation that you have done at the request of the fire chief, and that's fine. You can do that, but there is no state law that's requiring a sprinkler system or a fire marshal review. The fire marshal might come in after the fact and take and look at it and make a judgment. And I'm not promising that won't happen, but as far as we can tell, there's no statutory requirement at this time to do so.
What about our issue with our school being full and using it for, say, our pre-K? I mean, that would be perfect if you had a limited classroom. We had a bus drop them off there. They could pull off the road. You have one employee parking. I mean, that's an issue we've been struggling with. And I was thinking the other day, I'm like, what a perfect spot. I mean, there's plenty of room for plenty of children there. There's just not a lot of parking. And in a school, you're not going to necessarily need a ton of parking. Just drop off and pick up,
I know, you'd have to look at the,
rather than investing a ton of money into our schools that we don't really.
I have no idea what the school is interested, you know.
Yeah.
the whole- Maybe.
I mean, that was the discussion that the superintendent was having, that we don't have the room for the pre-K, which is full.
yes.
I would think if that were the case, that a lot of other things would come into play, regulations from the state, and you probably would need some kind of sprinkler systems or whatever.
But that would
It's
be,
an old building, I mean,
but that'd be a lot cheaper than building a whole wing off the school, possibly.
where's that in discussion? My understanding is they want to send them over to Pematic.
Well, they have no guarantee from Pematic yet.
They have plenty of space over there.
So just for reference, the ordinance does say schools, the parking requirements are 1 per every classroom. So I guess 1, because there's 1 classroom. And then 1 per every 4 employees. So then depending on the staff, but maybe it's two spaces are required.
Larry,
The town doesn't want to take it over if we can't get more parking, is that been decided?
it hasn't been decided, but that's what we're talking about right now, is just,
But you could take it over if there isn't a chance for more parking.
we could take it over, right, no matter what, but it's just, what would we ever do with it? What would we just don't want it to sit there and and
Well,
raw.
like it is right now, so that's something, but
Yeah.
use George Gardens for parking.
So, yeah, George Carter allows the library to use, if there's spillover, when we have an event over there, but, so, but that arrangement would not extend toward the town owning the building?
George's probably doesn't directly abut it, does it?
Correct.
So I don't think he was asked.
He was not asked, and my impression is that that would be a far less than ideal situation where you're directing, folks who are using a town facility to walk all along a state highway that has no sidewalk. And
That's true.
And park on private property.
yeah, I personally don't like that option.
No, I would like,
Frank Rummel.
I would like to see us be able to use it for something.
Okay.
And all for that, but it's just a matter of what makes sense and what the upkeep and how much money it's gonna cost to own it.
Have you come up with that number?
Yeah, we had at previous meetings, was around 12.5, just as a rough number, a year, $12,500.
And again, what does that include, the 12,000?
Chris?
All utilities, security cameras, basic maintenance.
Fuel. Basic maintenance, as in somebody going in there cleaning up on a regular basis? And how about money set aside for future upkeep? I mean, it's an old building. We know that it did have work done several years ago, but
It does not have a capital budget built into
yeah,
it.
yeah. So the 12,000 is low.
Operating cost.
It's an annual operating cost estimate. All of it.
How much in taxes would the town be losing by getting it off out of private hands?
What is the taxation on it now? I know in previous discussions, I think it's all right for me to say the landowner had expressed that if we did not accept it, there was a possibility of another organization that would be willing to accept it, and that would also take it off from the taxation as well, so.
So it's currently assessed at $240,000.
Mhm.
So pretty close to that $250,000 home we were talking about earlier, somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,700 in tax.
Does Morgan Churchman have any other takers? Like, has he offered it out to anybody else and anybody's like, yay, pick me?
I don't think so.
You don't, okay.
I think he's wanted to get this.
Right, sure. I didn't know if we decided that that wasn't the right move, if he had another thought, but, okay. Not that we know of.
I just feel like we gave him our word when he came in and he wanted to have it kept up. That was one of the agreements. I just don't want to see it sit there empty and rot, because that's not what we agreed to. We agreed if we took it on to keep it up and keep it in good shape, so.
Yeah, we've already got one building doing that.
Yeah, no, and that's why I would rather see something happen with it and do something and keep it up or not.
And he doesn't have any suggestions for parking? I know you, yeah, he's like,
He's one of the abutters.
yeah,
the
right,
other
which,
property.
right,
He said no.
no, okay.
Does it have to go in front of the town owners?
Yes.
Well, if you choose not to. If it's gonna be acquired, town voters have to approve it, but if you could choose to stop this process right now, and then it wouldn't be on the warrant.
I think it still should have it go on the warrant. I think if there's gonna be people that don't want us to have it anyhow, I think it will.
I can agree
Let
with
the
that. I mean,
voters
that's
agree.
leaving it up to the whole public
Yeah.
to say, we either want this or we don't.
Exactly.
Because I know that it's a mixed bag of opinions on it, so it'd probably be the safest bet.
No, it's a very generous offer and it comes with a burden.
Yeah.
I think it's up to the town.
Yeah.
I think that's a great
Yeah,
idea.
It's fair.
that's a good idea too.
So would you say the town, the select board does not recommend that it be accepted at the town meeting when you print the warrant?
Could
No
we say no
recommendation.
recommendation?
You can say no.
But all, you should put one of three things: no recommendation, recommends, or recommends rejection.
I would say
No
no
rec-
No
No
recommendation, just leave it neutral and
Everybody.
This is political.
I wish we could have Jetson cars, remember that old cartoon? The car folds up into the briefcase and then we wouldn't have this issue.
Scooter rental.
Scooter.
Request that it be put on the warrant and then.
I'll make a motion to request the town manager include the possible acquisition of Pacific Hall on the annual town meeting warrant with no recommendation from the selectmen.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to request the town manager to, what was your, sorry, Mackenzie, I didn't.
Yeah, I don't remember either. To
I just want to reword it for you, that's all.
include
To include
the possible
the
acquisition.
possible acquisition of the Pacific Hall and to have no recommendation from the select board. Okay, any discussion? Mark?
Would this be on the warrant for the open town meeting or be voted on by secret ballot?
Open town meeting. That's what I meant to say.
Okay,
Thank you.
in her, okay. In her motion, also open town meeting. Any more discussion? Yes, Larry.
Question, Jamie. Have the selectmen come up with any ideas of what the village could be used for if the town just took it over?
I mean, we've thought of a ton of ideas in the past, but they just talking, just back and forth, like Mike just did about a possible school, and we haven't really researched anything as far as the only thing we had left with, I guess, was, I think, if you guys all agree, was a community center, just a general community center, and that's where we would run into an issue with parking. It's kind of put a general statement on it like that, I guess.
So it would be used in the same way that it was with the private owner, right? Making it available for groups to use and make a donation or possibly a rental that might be set, but it would be wide open as to the kinds of activities and events.
I think
If you had the parking, yeah, I know.
some ideas that were mentioned were like Boy Scouts and stuff like that, different things that were held in this room would be a possibility to be held there. And like you said, baby showers and whatever else there are for
There's a use
community uses.
There's a use category in the land use ordinance that references theaters, churches, and other assembly places.
Okay.
And that's the category that I imagine this falling under.
Remind you, the Boy Scouts no longer exist.
Yeah, they do, Mark.
What?
Have a roof that goes past there?
What?
No?
They don't go all the way up the backside.
No.
But don't they go as far as the west side of the campground?
Yes,
That-
they did.
From, I thought it was Bernard Corner, but maybe they do. Yeah, I thought they just went to Bernard Corner, but maybe they do. I think they
have
do
campground.
actually, yeah.
Yeah, so technically, yeah, there's a bus going by, but I don't know how frequent.
Or
No, I don't think it goes
they
by there.
still don't, they turn around there and go back towards Bernard.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was thinking it was before.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Got it. I go both ways every day, so I forget which side of it is on.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Next thing is the LY management plan. Chris, could you please just summarize this real quick?
Yeah, I mean, this happens every year. You guys just have to notify the Department of Marine Resources how you intend to manage the Seal Cove Brook. Town meeting has already authorized you to manage this brook. So typically what you do is close it to recreational fishing. I assume that's what you're gonna do again this year.
I make a motion to direct the town manager to advise the Maine Department of Marine Resources that the Tremont Board of Selectmen have voted that for calendar year 2020, Seal Cove Brook shall be closed to recreational fishing for river herring, and that the town will not lease its river herring rights.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to direct the town manager to advise the Maine Department of Marine Resources that the Tremont Board of Selectmen had voted that for the calendar year 2020, Seal Cove Brook shall be closed for recreational fishing for river herring, and that the town will not lease its river herring rights. Is there any discussion?
This may be a stupid question, but I'll ask it anyway. Does recreational fishing include all fishing, or is there commercial fishing that is allowed?
No.
So no fishing.
There's no fishing at all, right?
No.
Right, correct.
Yeah, I covered both.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, all those in favor? All right. And once again, the gym floor is on.
Great.
Chris, can you speak on behalf of the school for this one?
Yes, so story last year, the floor was not completed to their satisfaction. And so we have a bidder, or a contractor who has given a quote of $12,800. The schools have worked with this contractor before, they're very pleased with this work. And rather than putting this debt back out to bid, they've requested that you waive the purchasing policy and award it to David Walsh so that they can just get it done.
I thought they decided they could live with it for a while.
Yeah.
I can't speak on behalf of the school any more than I already have.
That was,
I thought we
I
had that
wasn't-
discussion.
yes, I think you're right.
I think,
This is a whole
Yeah,
redo. This is a whole
I,
stripped
it
and
didn't seem that bad when I was in there, but
I think that when we last discussed this, that we, the actions that we made at the time were to, in anticipation that come this summer, it would be redone again. Correctly, or to their satisfaction, I will say, yeah. So what we agreed upon last time with the money wise was for the job as it was done.
At a reduced payment.
At a, yeah,
Yeah.
at a reduced.
Just remember the exact details.
have you seen it, Jamie?
No, when this was on the agenda before, it was, I think it needs to be redone, correctly, in my opinion.
Make a motion to waive the purchasing policy for the community building gym floor refurbishment and award the project to David Walsh in the amount of $12,800.
second.
It's been moved and seconded to waive the purchasing policy for the community building gym floor refurbishment and to award the project to David Walsh in the amount of $12,800. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Administrative official appointment. We need to confirm the position of Jesse Dunbar as our code enforcer, licensed plumbing inspector, and 911 addressing officer.
Make a motion to confirm the appointment of Jesse Dunbar as code enforcement officer, plumbing inspector, and 911 addressing officer.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to confirm the appointment of Jesse Dunbar as code enforcement officer, plumbing inspector, and 911 addressing officer. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
I'll pose this as a question to the board. Should this position have been advertised?
That's,
Not now.
Why wasn't it?
Why, well, why wasn't it?
Yeah.
Not sure if I do, would you like
Sure.
to fill in, Chris?
Yeah, we have gone through searches for code enforcement officers before. I looked through the file history on this, filling this position. The last time it was filled in, I believe, 2016. There just aren't candidates out there who have all the certifications that are required for this. And we had a willing candidate, and a full search can take 6 weeks to 2 months, to advertise in the paper and to give people a month to respond, and to be without a code enforcement officer for 2 months didn't seem like a great option.
It's a good summary.
I agree.
And he's here Tuesdays and Thursdays? I
Same
asked him
time.
the same,
Yep.
same thing, once a week, it seems like.
We all voted already. So. All right, next thing on the agenda. Backhoe excavator trailer, bid specs, I think my opinion on this is we've had a lot of discussion on this. I would like to see all of it just go out to bid,
I agree.
get all of our numbers. Even if we don't use the excavator numbers, just have them on record. So when this conversation does come up,
We've got a
which it
number
will
down the road if we ever do
in a
decide to get
year,
one.
then we can have it there for a reference point.
I would agree. It's not gonna cost us any extra to do it.
Yep.
We've already spent this much time in it. I'll make a motion to authorize the town managers to seek bids for a backhoe and an excavator and a trailer.
We do them all together like that, Chris. Is that fine?
Sure.
Okay.
Second,
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to authorize the town manager to approve the backhoe excavator and excavator trailer bid specifications and to authorize the town manager to seek bids for those. That good?
Sure.
Any discussion?
The only thing I can think of is, maybe I'm missing it, but I don't see a spec for like a ditching bucket. and
Okay,
so
which
forth.
one, the backhoe?
On the backhoe itself.
yeah, it was, I brought that to his attention, so I thought.
Okay, that's the only thing I could
What I
see.
had is-
The backhoe has a twist wrist,
Right,
so you want a ditching bucket in there?
Yeah, the
well,
bucket,
that will come with, that is a ditching bucket, a twist wrist.
it comes on the twist ridge.
You can't get
Okay,
a regular bucket with a twist, it's a ditching bucket.
okay, so,
Do you want me to add the what language, ditching bucket?
You can,
Twist
you
wrist?
can to be,
yeah,
Be extra careful.
I will
Yeah.
do so. And your motion in minutes will say as amended.
and it won't have a second tooth bucket. Is that?
sure, yeah, that you want to make sure it does, but it
Okay,
should.
that's what I was getting at,
Yeah.
yeah.
What was that?
So you'll have two buckets. You'll have the twist wrist bucket and then you'll have a normal
Regular
claw
digging bucket.
bucket.
Oh, so that, okay, so claw bucket is the
Or-
other one?
What do you call
It's called a digging bucket.
Yeah,
Digging bucket.
yeah, I just make sure.
Tre-
we get
tre-
both,
trenching.
That's all.
Trenching bucket.
Digging bucket it is.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor? All right, next thing is the wharf garage lease renewal. It's up for lease again. Right now, it's for $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year.
I make, yeah. I make a motion to authorize the town manager to renew the wharf lease with DNR Bait. It's on the same terms as the current lease at a rent of $1,000 per month.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to authorize the town manager to renew the wharf garage lease with DNR Bait on the same terms as the current lease at a rent of $1,000 per month. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, town manager's report.
All right. It's been a busy few weeks here at the office. Major emphasis, onboarding Jesse Dunbar, monitoring the library project, it is on schedule. Finalizing the manager's proposed budget that we discussed tonight. Met with NDOT regarding the wharf project, and everything looks good from their perspective, that's also on schedule. And then we have the presidential primary. Minor projects going on. I'm continuing to plug away at a draft investment policy. I wrote my section of the town report, drafted those backhoe bid specifications, drafted the updated wharf ordinance, attended a League of Towns meeting, attended a Hancock County Planning Commission meeting. Attended a meeting at the Katy National Park headquarters regarding the land that was once designated for an island-wide transfer station. I sent a couple of employees for random drug tests, drafted an updated fireworks ordinance. I attempted to contact CH Rich at your request. Haven't heard back. Harbor committee meeting, attended a planning board meeting, trying to get a proposal from the sheriff's office for a 3-year contract so that can be on the annual town meeting warrant. We posted roads. I attended an island-wide fire department collaboration meeting, working on ways that the fire departments can work together a little bit better. Working on the town's property and casualty insurance renewal. Did the monthly vending machine audit. We made $5 in the last month. And we received the Tremont School deed amendment from the Department of the Interior representatives. So that was finally signed off on. Office staff activities, presidential primary, prep and follow-up. Preparing the taxpayer property memo that you went through tonight. Transitioning to our new code enforcement officer, the monthly bank reconciliation, which you'll be seeing at the next meeting, and then putting together the town report. Couple works projects going on, cutting brush, posting roads, putting carbide edges on truck 2. Truck 1 had some exhaust and brake issues that had to be fixed at the Caldwells. Truck 1 is also getting a new auger, it's still on order. Doing some setup for the election, fixing washouts and potholes on the dirt roads, removing some downed trees after that storm on February 27th. Fixing the top of the Kellytown culvert, welding plows on truck 79, and then a very small amount of sanding during our mild winter. The harbor master has been busy monitoring the wharf project, harbor committee meeting preparation and the meeting itself. Reviewed the public works budget. He also had he was at harbor master school last week, and then he's working on putting together the mooring bills. Some things we'll be up to in the next couple weeks, or next week rather. I'll be attending tomorrow night's planning board meeting. I'll be teaching a class at the library on town government. I'll be continuing to work on our property and casualty insurance renewal, and on Friday we'll be opening the portable toilet bin.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
Suggestions for the next meeting?
Sure.
Yeah. Date of the next meeting.
I'll make a motion to confirm the date of the next meeting for Monday, March 16th, 2020 at 5 p.m. at the town office.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to confirm the date of the next meeting for Monday, March 16th, 2020, 5 p.m. at the town office. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
I usually get organized before the meeting a little bit.
Yeah.
Sit down at the house, and I still have things closed on.
Something happened.